Hi, this is Sue, and I'm back with a flip through of my latest journal. And I showed you a flip through of the month of March at the end of that month, and now I'm back to show you a flip through of April. Since last time I was here, I made a little charm dangle to put on the edge of the journal, and I also had to do some altering because as I realized I had 3 signatures in here originally, and I got about halfway through April and realized it was already getting too chunky. So I removed the 3rd signature and I just put the string back in there so that when it's sitting on the shelf, it looks like I have 3 signatures in there and doesn't look like I have this big gap in there. So anyway, let me get to it. Again, just like the beginning of March, I have these old images from a calendar from 1927. So I put that in there to start us off. And I'm not going to tell you what we were doing. Nobody's interested in my life, believe me. I'm not even interested. But I'm just going to show you the style, what I do, and so that you get the idea. So this is just some dyed paper and a little image from a book that I sewed around and glued on. This is just an envelope that I made from a book page and sewed around. I attached that to this vellum that's here. And that day we voted, so I just put the sticker from the day in there. I don't decorate ahead of time. I just put some pages in, and when I come to them, I figure out what to do with them. This was just a scrapbook paper, and I had sewn around this, put a little image. We were getting close to Easter, so I had that in my Easter stash. Some paper from kind of Eastery or spring-like. I had a cluster, so I put that on. These are not things that I make at the time. I just have them in my stash and, go through and pull out and see what looks like it might work. These are some stickers that I made from an image I found on Google, and I put that in there sometimes just to kind of talk about what we're watching. We happen to go back in time and watch A Hard Day's Night, a Beatles movie from the past, so I just stuck that in there. And this was a little envelope that I found on vacation one time. I just loved the look of it, and so I purchased it and just, wrote about the day. And I just put this little scrap on because it matched the little bunny, and this was just from a Hallmark bag. This is an image from a magazine, I guess, or maybe it was from a book. This was just, I have a notepad of this kind of paper, and it's in with my Easter things, so I just wrote on there. Was making cookies, so I took a picture and printed it out. And then that day I also took a walk around the park and printed out some pictures that I took along the way of signs of spring that I enjoyed. A little squirrel with a nut in his mouth, and some turtles that were in the pond. So I just stuck those in there. Just a little image. This was a Easter celebration, and so I just, I didn't do very much on these, just put some pictures in. I do have a separate Easter journal that I keep year by year with photos of what we did that year, and I write a little bit more about that in those journals. I have one for Easter, one for Christmas, and one for Halloween. So yeah, just some pictures of the day. Picture of my husband and me. There we are. We always are invited to my daughter-in-law's parents. We get along with them so well. They're wonderful people, and they always have us over. The next day, my husband and I, or 2 days later, my husband and I took off for a little vacation for a few days in Door County, and this is not the first time I've done this. This is actually the second time when I have packed up my toiletry bag and left it hanging in the bathroom instead of packing it. So the second time we had to go to a grocery store and purchase things that were necessities, like toothbrushes and toothpaste and a new case for my contact lens and some new, yeah, so you get the idea. Pictures of some sunsets our first night there. This was just from the place where we stayed, those little notepads, so I tore off a sheet and put a picture of my husband on there. I carry one of those HP Sprocket cameras. They're about the size of a cell phone, and that way I can just print out pictures that are, I guess they're about 2 by 3, 3.5. And so I can do those when I'm traveling. This is just from Natasha at Treasure Books. She did a little video on these wonky houses, so I made a few of them after watching that and used it as a journaling space. This is just another photo we took on our trip. We saw this couple and it kind of touched us. She was a little bit handicapped. He was holding her hand, and it was just a lovely picture. We did some wine test sampling. So I just cut that from the brochure. And another visit to the Cave Point Park, so I took a picture. This is just something that we went to a barbecue place and they put the silverware in the bag. I think that's what this is from. So I just made a belly band out of it and cut out some pictures from the Door County book, put that in there, and then talked about the trip home. It was only 3 nights, but we had a good time. A priest from our parish said his last mass, and they had a reception for him, and this was just a picture of the Easter flowers in front of the altar. It had been in the mid-80s this previous week, and then it snowed, and that's Chicago weather. So we have tulips coming up and surrounded by snow. This little picture is from a magazine, and it really touched me because it reminded me of myself. I had hair like that when I was little, wavy hair, and my mother taught me how to knit when I was 9 or 10, I think. So I just wrote a little bit about that. These are some wonky book page flowers, again from Natasha. She did a video on that. We go out for breakfast with some church friends every once in a while, and this is just something I cut from the top of the receipt from the bill. This was something from Daphne's Diary. I used to subscribe to it, and they sent little books with pages like this. I don't know if I tea-dyed this or it came that way. I think it came that way. This is just a recipe, picture of a recipe I made. This goes in this envelope. This is a picture from our pond of 9 turtles. Every time we take the grandkids by there, we always try to see how many turtles we can find. Just a little cluster there. And this was the back of the envelope. This was already printed here, but I just took a green marker and went around. And then these were some little clusters that I made from some paper in my stash. I think it might have been, I don't know if this was a gel print or what, but something that I had made. This is a vintage card. I gutted the inside. It had a flap that came down, so I just cut that off and used that as journaling space. A friend of mine had a birthday, and so my husband and I took her out for dinner, so I just wrote a little bit about that. And the next day, Sunday, I did some knitting that day, kind of just, taking it easy and resting that day and doing some enjoyable things. So found that little image to put on there. The next day was my granddaughter's 13th birthday, so she's officially a teenager, so I put her picture in there. This is a picture of a journal cover. It's I watched a video from Just Journaling with Possum Patty, and she had done this diamond art painting on the cover of a journal, and it looked interesting, so I thought I'd give it a try. I ordered the journal. I ordered one for my granddaughter. It was a lot of fun. I think my granddaughter will enjoy it. It was very easy to do, so yeah. My husband and I went to see the movie Nefarious, and it's very dark. It's a horror film, but it's more of a psychological thriller. And so I just found this dark paper and a quote from Albert Schweitzer about evil and versus good. Put that in there. My husband and I went to a bunch of resale shops this day, and I picked up a card at one of the places, Reclaimed Artisans. They reclaim things and make new things out of them and then sell them. And so I just put this tab on there and a little bit of the beads with the clip. And this was something I had in my stash, I think, or maybe someone sent it to me in Happy Mail. Not sure. My friend Trudy at Journal Journeys 51 sent this to me in Happy Mail. So I just wrote about our day in that. She also sent me this some pieces of this notebook paper, which was the perfect size for writing about what I did that day. This is from a Daphne's Diary magazine, and you just back that with some tea-dyed paper and wrote a little bit about what I've been reading. And this clip is just made from washi, wrapped around the clip and with a little dangle there. And then I just took a vintage recipe card and wrote some things, some blessings from the month of April that I am grateful for. And put a picture from Daphne's Diary on that last page, just a picture that I liked. So there you go. That's the month of April. And I'll be back to show you my May journal and the very, very bad thing that happened once I had it all made. So stay tuned for that one. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit the like button if you don't mind. And I'll be back.